Welcome back to this wonderful series about SketchUp for engineers. So, this is going to be chapter 1, so let's kind of dive right into this. Let's just get going. So this is what we're going to learn. So just a reminder, we talked about surface modeling versus solid modeling versus is my part a solid. So we learned that solid has multiple meanings. Solid could mean the entire thing is like clay or metal and it's just solid, or it could be thin-walled but solid as in it's watertight. Also, we're going to talk about the basics of navigation starting in this chapter, how the interface and panels work, the inference engine, rotating the axes versus using construction guides, as in, do I want to use construction lines or do I just want to rotate my axes to do something? Basic part modeling, cleanup and exporting, and basic rendering. So, this is kind of, do not worry, this is a final, one of the near the end videos projects we're going to do. And notice it says, why are some of the dimensions missing? So notice right here, there's no dimension here, no dimension here, and you have to infer some of your own dimensions. Now why is that? Because sometimes when modelers create these working drawings, they've used a parametric modeling program. And that sometimes can make you lazy when it comes to dimensioning. Because they think in their mind, oh, if, everyone's using the program, so if I hand it to them, this working drawing, they should be able to figure it out just like the program did. Not really, because if I were to hand this to a machinist, they would have to, there's quite a few dimensions they have to infer. Like, right here and right here, there's nothing that tells them that it's parallel. The only thing that tells it, besides me writing it here, is there's a little symbol that the program uses to tell you that there's a constraint, that this and this, there's a relation saying that these two are related because they're parallel. So a machinist wouldn't be able to tell that. And so some of these, you have to be very careful. So when it comes to this project, we're going to talk more about it. So it's really important to keep dimensions on there, and keep in mind when you make working drawings, think, okay, if I hand this to a machinist, is he going to be able to make it? Even if he doesn't have the program, or he does, would he be able to look at this paper and make it? If I hand him this paper, absolutely not. He would not be able to. So be very careful when dimensioning. So this is actually what we're going to be building for our first part. I know you can't see the bottom, and do not worry, I'll make sure that when it's our turn to use this actual part in the video, you'll be able to see these dimensions. We're just going to make this corner block with these chamfered holes that go all the way through and a few basic cuts. All the dimensions are here. This is done in inches. So that is going to be our first part. But let's go ahead and dive into SketchUp itself. So go ahead and open up SketchUp Pro. I'm using 2018. Now remember, this is for professional users. And click on template. Since our first part is in inches, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to use meters, and I will tell you why I do this. Let's find a good template that I like. How about woodworking? You know what? We're just going to do simple template, meters. We can always change it later, but I'm going to show you why I'm doing what I'm doing. So let's let this load. Okay, so mine's gone ahead and loaded. Now yours is definitely, if you're a first time user on SketchUp Pro, it is definitely not going to look like this. You're not going to have all these little fancy things right here. You're going to have some of them. You might not even have this. And you might not even have any of this. So let's talk about how we get these. So this right here, this is your left toolbar. It's called the large one, and you can move it around. It's called the large toolbar. If you notice up in the little thing, it says large. And I hate when I do that. There we go. Double click it and it will set it. But how do you find that? If you go to Tools, Window, Default Tray. Okay, it's actually not there. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong spot. The tray is this thing right here. I always get those two screwed up. So this is the tray. Now let's talk about the tray first before we talk about these tools. So when you first open it, you're not going to have this one called Outliner. This one is extremely important. So how to find that, you go to Window, Default Tray, and you want to turn on Outliner. What Outliner is kind of like our model tree. It tells us everything that's in there, including things that are hidden. So this is really important to have open, always. Entity info is the next one I always have open, because if you select something, it'll tell you that it's a component, name is Stacy, and it will tell you any other information and what layer it's on. And we'll talk about layers here in a moment. So to find these right here, to find these tool set, you're going to want to go to Tools, and you're going to want to, you want to go to View, and you want to click on Toolbars. And it's going to open up this. And you're going to scroll down until you see Large Tool Set. And when you click that, it'll give you this, and it might automatically put it right here. But if it doesn't, just drag it over and double click it. So these are movable. If you click them, drag them around. So set it up the way you want. These are your standard views. So ISO. If you have a three button mouse, the middle mouse button, if you click it and hold it, is rotation. Now to pan, if you hold left shift, middle mouse button again, it does this. Left click is select, right click is options if you right click on an object. So that is, it's actually really basic. Now blue axis is your Z, and let's see where, let's go to ISO. So red is going to be your X and green is going to be your Y. So okay, so really basic. These right here, let's go ahead, if I'm going to click Stacy, I'm going to hit delete. I'm going to make a quick box real quick. There's two ways of doing it. Either hitting R for rectangle, and you just click, left click there, and just drag. Now if you notice, bottom right hand corner here says dimensions. Okay, I'm going to type in 25, 25. Okay, and it made a really big box. You could zoom all the way out like this using your mouse wheel, or Control Shift E to zoom extents. Okay, now this is just a 2D object. Okay, so notice if you click the line that says length is 25 meters. If you click this surface, it tells you the area. So what we're going to do now, if we actually wanted to make a 3D box, you could use L for the line tool, and you could draw a line up. But how do you know if you're drawing up or what? It's really hard to tell. Well, if you see how it shows on the blue axis, that means you're going up. The other way to lock that, so let's just have the mouse over here. I'm going to hit the up arrow. Okay, it forces it to the blue. Okay, or if you actually find it, if right there, and you hold shift, continue to hold shift. Okay, you're going to type in 25 and hit enter. Whoops. 25. I don't know why. Okay, 25. Okay, let go of shift, hold 20, hit 25, and hit enter. Zoom out. So now we have a line. So now let's go along the red axis. A couple ways we can do that. You can hover on the red axis, and it'll show it there. The reason I was going to hover is because sometimes you can get it to the point of where it's parallel to that. As in, I'm going to hover on this one. Okay, doesn't want to do it. It'll go magenta sometimes for parallel. Okay, so let's just do right arrow for red. Okay, and then how do we, if I don't want to type in 25, how do we do this? We just actually hover over this point. Look at the bottom right corner, it says length is 25. So click it, and then click again. And now we have one side of our cube. Click here, click the left arrow to force it on the green, and then right there, and then right there. Click again. So we could go all the way through and do it this way. I'm going to use the eraser tool, and I'm going to erase back to where we were. But there's an easier way. Use P for push-pull. Click on the surface, pull up, and type in 25. Now notice it has all its surfaces. These are thicker black lines, means it's a primary edge. This one is a secondary edge. Has a surface area. If I highlight and encompass everything, it just tells me that there's 18 entities, which means faces and edges all combined. If I were to click that and hit delete, it opens up the box. Our box is not a solid anymore, it's not watertight. Control Z, now it's watertight, but how do we know this? If you select it all, or triple click, then right click and say make component, and give it a name, box. It'll tell you solid component, and it'll actually give you a volume. If it does not say solid or give you a volume, then there's something wrong. And we'll talk about how to fix that later on. As for now though, that's just the basics of navigation, the interface, and the panels. And notice right here in our outliner we have a component that shows a box. Okay, it's named box. Now I'm actually going to do one more thing. I'm just going to make a random box right here, push pull up, triple click, and make group. Okay, notice in here it just says group. It didn't allow me to name it, and it's not a component. I prefer components. Why is that? Depends on the situation. Actually, I'll always use components. So let's say this. I'm going to use the move tool, M for move. I'm going to click right here, and I'm going to hold control. And I'm going to slide along this red line, or I'm going to hit the right arrow key, whoops, to force it to move in that direction. I'm just going to let go of control and click once to place it. Okay, so let's do this. If you double click inside of a component, it'll open it up. Notice I have two boxes in my outliner. I'm going to add a circle, C for circle, and I'm just going to do this. Whoops. Select this, push, pull, and look what's happening on the other component. Look at that. Whatever you do to this one, it happens to this one. Now let's say I didn't want to add any more to this component. So I'm going to right click and say make unique. Now I'm going to double click in here, add another circle onto here, use push pull, and look, nothing over there because I made it unique. So that's why I prefer components over groups. Okay, perfect. Well, we'll get more into the interface later. That's just a basic introduction. So let's go ahead and stop here, and then we'll get ready for the next video of actually modeling something. So thank you for watching.